Here's a great wee magic trick that amazes the kids. You insert a fake note between the rollers, crank the handle and out pops a real banknote. The secret of how this works is shown in the video. The sides, bottom and arm can be collected from scrap wood. The rollers and the knob I cut from an old brush handle. The dowels and other bits and pieces I had in my workshop. The only thing I had to buy was the black paper. I bought that from an art shop. When you've got all your wood cut to size, the first thing we prepare are the sides. Mark up a 20mm radius. Mark the thickness of the bottom and draw a line between the two. Then cut just outside the line. Then sand down to the line and smooth off your edge. "25mm under the first mark you made, make a second mark. Tape the two sides together and then drill all the way through both the marks with an 8mm drill bit. We can now glue and nail the sides onto the base. We mark the centre of the rollers and we drill 10mm deep with an 8mm drill bit. Put 10mm of the dowel into the drill chuck and then sand the remainder smooth. But don't sand too much off, we still want some friction when the dowel goes in the hole. And we can now assemble the rollers. We put a 35mm long dowel in the bottom of one side, and a 50mm long one in the top, and on the other side the 50mm long one goes on the bottom, and the 35mm long one in the top. Next, drill two 8mm holes, 10mm in from the ends of the crank arm. And then round over the corners. Next we use a 35mm dowel and some glue to assemble the crank. The crank gets glued to the top 50mm dowel. We then drill a 10mm deep hole with an 8mm drill bit into the knob. Then glue the knob onto the 50mm dowel on the other side. We're now ready to attach the paper. The paper should be 600 long by 85 wide. Lay the paper out as shown and put a small line of glue in the top roller. And then staple into place. Now this is the secret of the trick. The black paper is actually rolled in a figure S shape. So it goes over the top of the top roller but underneath the bottom roller, so that as a fake note rolls up onto the bottom one, it unrolls the real note out of the top one. Once we've threaded the paper in the S, we glue and staple the bottom the same as the top. Then sand the two 35mm dowels flush with the sides. My dowels spun a little bit too easily in the holes, so I used a centre punch to expand them to get a little bit more friction. And that's it finished. You wind the paper to the middle and then you use the knob to wind in the real banknote just until it disappears. Then position the fake banknote in the rollers and use the crank handle to wind that in and the real note out. I hope you enjoyed this video. I would love to hear in the comments if you make one. And if you want to see more videos like this one, hit the subscribe button please.